shit crack.
Peace, 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 family. Peace, 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 family. How you all doing? My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Ascendant Astrology, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I am going to be discussing Mars entering into Leo. I am recording on two different screens, so I'm trying to pay attention to both. So if I look like a crazy person, that's why. But Mars enters Leo today. It'll be there until July 10th. The last time we had Mars in Leo was the summer of 2021. So you definitely want to think back to see what was going on for you. You can see more pieces of the story or a closing of a cycle, finishing up. The fire signs will benefit from this the most, as well as Geminis and Libras. Not to say that any of the other signs won't benefit from it, but there'll be harsher aspects. And so you'll learn the lessons, you'll get the blessings, but once you probably do some hardcore work. Um, as crazy as I think this transit is going to show up, this is going to be some wild ass energy. Um, this is challenging us to look at our values and what we're contributing to this revolution that's going on in the world right now. What are your actions creating? Are you standing up for someone or something? Or are you taking bold actions like no risk, no reward, especially with Mars and Leo? This is definitely a no risk, no reward, but a healthy risk, a well thought out risk. I mean, we do have Jupiter and Taurus, and that's going to be, we have a stellium in Taurus, which is going to be um, the strongest energy here to fall back on, or what's going to be creating in the 3D, right? And the material. So it's still going to hold some accountability for what that looks like. Um, and so it has to be well thought out risks. You could obviously do whatever you want, however you want, but um, nothing done with malice intent is gonna ever work out for anybody. That's just common sense, right? And the reason I say that is because Mars and Leo can be some crazy stuff that people might be considering taking actions towards, or what's considered a risk. So Leo is the fifth sign of the zodiac. It's a fixed fire sign. And so it's stubborn. It's active, creative, playful, prideful, bold, traumatic, charismatic, regal, and royal. So I definitely think on the world stage, we'll be seeing some crazy things happening around war, around the royals, around people in leadership and politics. Um, and definitely in the entertainment industry as well. Um, Leo also rules the entertainment industry. It's the fifth house, right? So that's the entertainment industry, romance, love, sex, casual sex, um, your dating life, your social life, like clubbing, restaurants, movies, venues, and fun in general, or like amusement parks. or like outside events with tents and things of that nature. Like um you know how they used to do those events in sixth grade? I think they were like um oh my God, why can't I remember what they're called? They were very recreational though. I just remembered having to run or do like contests and things of that nature. So things like that, definitely sporting events and sports in general. There's definitely going to be some stuff in the news about that. Um, um, and this is also confidence, self-expression, creativity, children, um, pregnancy, um, and parenthood, um, gambling, and retirement. Leo is your life after you retire, when you retire. And then you have Mars. Mars is a challenging planet on its own. It's the ancient ruler of Scorpio, so there's definitely some scorpionic themes being played out here, which is a problem. Um, because Mars is strong in Leo, it can often show up in the less desirable ways of scorpionic energy. This could also be bringing up themes from the lunar eclipse that we had in Scorpio, right? And so, being mindful of that. On the lower expression of Scorpio is deceit, lies, backstabbing, jealousy, scandals. On the higher expression, this is vulnerability, especially because Leo is about love. Um, this is somebody looking for a deeper meaning in love, deeper connections, which is very scorpionic, um, and deeper bonds. Um, very passionate here. Mars is active, assertive, passion, sexuality. We can definitely hear some themes about sex changes and transgender and laws and things around that. Um, it's also conflict, strength, and war. War is undoubtedly going to be a topic of conversation at this time. Now, again, because the war that has currently been going on, um, it can either fire back up and be like a more serious problem than it has been, or it can be the closing, the ending of war, which, I'm not that hopeful. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to send that vibration out there, but that's just an unfortunate reality because war pays. They're making money off of that. Especially now, if I'm remembering correctly, US is now involved and they need money. They got to pay their debt. So, unfortunately, that's just the truth, right? Um, and Mars is also the energy of squares, right? And this will have a square to Pluto, if I'm not mistaken, or an opposition to Pluto. Um, But either way, squares represent an uncomfortable turning point. Energetically, there is going to be an energetic shift. Um, and it's also going to be the power. It's going to show that you have the power to step up and take action towards your dreams, your goals, your future, or whatever area of life this is bringing up for you. You can have courage to do whatever that is. Again, it could be good or bad. It really depends on where you're at on your spiritual journey. But um, either way, you're going to get um, like a burst of energy to move forward with whatever you want, whatever you're trying to manifest. Um, Mars is going to square Jupiter. So Mars will square Jupiter, which is our beliefs, philosophies around our self-esteem, and personal values, our resources, and how these things are pushing us into crisis to change, right? Pressure creates diamonds. And so, really, looking at this from a bigger picture perspective, it's asking us to get on board with the energetic shift of Taurus. Taurus is currently in the North Node, and Taurus is our mission and purpose collectively. And so, looking at your Taurus area of life again is going to be your strongest on how and what to do. Um, which way to move, what things to move towards, what are you building? Taurus is going to help ground you, get more realistic uh, within whatever that is, and take step by step to work towards whatever that is. But it can show up as a crisis, right? Because Taurus is also a fixed side and Leo is a fixed side. And so this could also be showing up as being stubborn, not wanting to change, or again, not having the energy, like not really wanting to be bothered. Mars was just in Cancer for a period of time. And so there's this energy of being inward and comfortable and feeling safe, like I'm good here. I've accomplished something here. I feel comfortable here. I'm not ready to move, shift, or change. But that's what the Mars and Leo shift is, that you're going to feel energetically is like eventually it's like, okay, you can move now. It's safe to love. It's safe to go out and be interactive and try on your new shoes that you just um got from that energy? What did you learn from being in Cancer energy? It's not necessarily about staying there because change is inevitable, but it's about knowing now how to walk within what you learned through that energy, right? And I mean, an example is going to work, coming home, and knowing that home is where the heart is. It's where you get peace. It's where you can relax and rest and retreat. You might not have to wear a mask there, You can be who you are, but maybe when you're at work or you're out and about doing business or with family or etc., everybody's story is going to be different. I'm just giving an example. It's like you might have to put on a different face, be a different person, be more professional, and things of that nature. But coming home is where you can unwind and be yourself. And so there's something about that here coming up. Some people might be tired of doing that and be like, you know what, I'd rather work from home because then I can always be like myself. And so some people could be switching their jobs, their professions, to be more in that comfort space. You can make moves to do that. It's just how and when and the steps that you take to do that, right? And so Mars and Leo could be sparking that energy of like, I don't want to change who I am because I get a paycheck. Um, I'm tired of doing that. Um, so how can you do that without having to worry about the backlash? That might be starting your own business, right? Um, and that's just another example. It's going to show up for people, different for different people. But that's definitely just one way to look at that, right? It could be outside shifts and changes that are forcing you to do that so you don't have to change who you are. Like you lose a job or your job goes out of business or something like that. So definitely looking for like news around changes, legal changes, laws that are changing on the world stage as well that could be affecting people. But essentially, we have to then look at the sun because Leo's ruled by the sun, right? And so this is very interesting because as of today, when Mars enters Leo, the sun is still going to be in Taurus. But tomorrow, the sun enters Gemini, and we will now be in Gemini season. And so that's going to be another energetic shift and change and things that we have to look at. So, what does the sun rule? The sun rules leaders, kings, fame, visibility, light, your soul, ego. I mean, Leo rules ego too, but either way, military, any kind of big leadership roles like the president, the CEO of a company, things of that nature. So unfortunately, we could see the death of a person in fame, president, a political person, or the CEO of a company, anybody in leadership in big leadership roles. Um, or some kind of challenges that they're going through. I know that politically there's wars going on right now. I mean, verbally, not actually. So that can get a lot louder at this time with this energy, a lot more dramatic. Um, yeah. So the sun in Gemini, um, brings in a more fun, upbeat energy for the most part. Because the sun will sextile Mars. So Gemini sextiles Leo energy. Um, and we're going to start to move around more. There can be way more communication, way more sharing, way more news, way more gossip, unfortunately. Um, I am the real Jedi. Hey, how you doing, King? Peace. Welcome. Um, And so we can be a lot more interested in travel, short distance travel, because Gemini rules short distance travel, or just a lot more busy in general. Gemini is like errands and running around doing things in your community. Um, this could also be things around cars. This could also be public transportation and things like construction and stuff like that, having difficulties with getting around. Be careful for car accidents. Um, it could be a thing. I'm not gonna say no because it could be because people could have road rage with Mars and Leo and Gemini energy. It could be a thing, right? Where people, because this energy is fast moving, right? It's going to be like people want to go get to where they got to get to, you know, even though they could be a lot more friendly about it, but it's very fast moving energy. This could definitely be like drag racing. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Any kind of crazy things with cars. Um, we can want to learn a little bit more, be more curious about learning and knowing things and having a meeting of the minds and intellect and intelligence, having intelligent conversations, sharing information in that way. I love the way Gemini and Leo energy have conversations. We both learn from each other and then we can talk about them. It's like a very fluid conversation, you know? Um, and Gemini is the air that kind of lights Leo's fire. So it's hard for us to get out of that energy. I think we can wear each other out and overwhelm each other. So that could be a theme here energetically, where we talk and talk and talk and talk till you can't until you can't talk no more. But it's still a beautiful ending, right? This is, I just heard, no, you hang up, no, you hang up. We both hang up, or you fall asleep on the phone type of stuff, especially if you're dating. Very interesting, by the way, because Gemini and Tarot is the twins. Um, in Tarot, Gemini actually is the best card to get when it comes to love. And because astrologically, Leo is the ruler of love, love, romance and all that other stuff. This can be great energy for dating, um, getting to know people, um, and connecting and things of that nature. Like if you had a dating event to go to, this would be amazing to go to a dating event or some kind of arts and crafts events that are based around like paint nights or drinking paints, especially if they have some kind of dating theme around it. This would be amazing energy for that. Or you can go to an event like that and find the love of your life, right? um But yeah, essentially, we will become more curious and open-minded in general. Um, However, on the lower expression of Gemini, this is games. And with Leo being here, Leo is the big, right? And Gemini would be the foot soldiers, right? Unfortunately, we can see a lot of gang activity, especially with young children. Leo rules children, right? Younger age too, like grade school, maybe high school. Um, Aquarius rules more teenagers, but teenagers to young adults. Leos would be, the younger kids going into teenage or the early teenage years, if you will. So we can see a heightened um, level of gang activity here. Um, Unfortunately, um, Mars rules guns, cutting, knives, violence, fighting. Um, yeah, this could be again violence by cars with Gemini or with weapons with Mars. Um, So be mindful of that. I did a video on when Mars was in Aries, even when Mars was in Gemini. That's a more recent video. If you want to get more themes to how this can play out during Gemini season only, it's cute, but there's trouble too. Um, There could be cars catching on fire because Mars is and Leo are fire energy. Um, or like, burning up the community. So it could be like fires, house fires. The weather could get warmer. Okay. Yeah, because this is around dating, date life, I'd be really careful. As much as fun this could be, with your date life, I'd be very, very, very conscious to vet whoever you're dating, especially during this season. I'm not going to say for the rest of the transit, but definitely for this season, I'd be extremely mindful of who you take on because they can have some very manipulative, um, egotistical, um, not so healthy ways about them. They can be violent, they can be abusive. Um, and so you have to be mindful. They can only just want sex. They can be very sex focused, right? This is Mars, Leo is casual sex. Mars is sex, but specifically Leo is casual sex. And then you have Gemini, they're very laissez-faire, right? Even though it doesn't have to be about sex, it can be intellect, but still, you have to measure that, right? Um, so just be mindful of that. Um, this could also be police and again military stuff. So we could hear a lot of talk about them trying to or considering sending children to war, right? It might not be so much of a topic here in America, but definitely in other countries. Um, um, I think we could see a lot of uh, activity around police is having to catch their quota. So just unnecessary what's this? Nerd. I don't want to mess up your name, but welcome. How you doing? We could see a lot of unnecessary police activity too, so be mindful out there. Um, and then the sun will square Saturn and trine Pluto, indicating that it's important to stop and slow down, assess your plans and what you have going on, and be open to making changes because it could be a lot of changes, especially with Gemini. Gemini is all about making decisions, the decisions between two things, two different ideas simultaneously happening at the same time, right? Two different paths. And I think all or both, however this is showing up for you is relevant. Again, it's just going to be about how you manage that and making sure that you're doing things one step at a time, right? And so this can bring, hey, Delaney, I was just about to cut this off and go into I'm just recording this on my YouTube, so um I didn't want to be on this on IG all day. Because we got short attention spans. So I just wanted to record a clip of the Mars and Leo video, but if you want to see the full video, family, please do be sure to get the link in the bio and catch me on YouTube. Rich Rising says, peace, how you doing? Rich Risings. Happy Saturday. Um, and if you want to get the full video, check me out on my YouTube channel. If you like this information, you want more information, come on over to get the rest of the video. I love and appreciate y'all. Peace. Pieces. All right. All right. So I'll finish wrapping that up after I finish this so I can focus. But yeah, so ultimately, Mars and Leo is going to bring up ideas of the creatives, people who have, like, I got my bachelor's degree in my liberal arts degree. They always tend to make liberal arts degree at the lowest place that you can get a degree because it's so many different things. It's not just focused on one in particular thing, but really that's where it's at. Right. And so those type of people tend to get left out because there's really no future technically for them, or their journey tends to be a lot more unique and different and not the status quo, right? And so I think we can see a lot more people wanting to do that, especially with all these systems and structures falling now, and the expectations, like I was mentioning earlier, about maybe you lose your job or you're tired of putting on a face. You just want to be who you are, but you can't be that way when you're at work and you don't want to do that anymore. Um, and so, you know, um, stepping into turning your hobby into an actual business opportunity could be things that come up. Those are the creatives. This could be self-employment, same difference, right? Like if you have a degree as a psychologist or a counselor or a coach, you might think of starting your own business doing that. This is also like performers and artists and younger people. Again, I think is going to be another really big, interesting topic where we see younger people stepping up and speaking up, even in politics and hearing their opinions. And I think we should listen to what they have to say, because they're down here. Not to say, no pun intended, right? But they're seeing from a different focal point. They're not fully corrupted by the things that older adults are, especially if you're not on your spiritual journey. And so I think it would be interesting to hear what they have to say and their opinions about some of these things that are going on. And we can kind of take those and use those in ways to change and make changes and help them make the changes they need to not be subject to um, falling into that same kind of path of feeling like they have to do a 9 to 5 to make it, or how can we start getting in the habit of saving money for our children before they come here, and legacy, and passing down the baton, and it comes to those kinds of conversations like that, right? And so we can see here a lot more of those kinds of things happening, especially even though we're not in Cancer season yet. This is still Gemini season, but it will be, will it? Is it June 10th or July 10th? I'm pretty sure it's 2 months. Let me just check before I go running off at yeah, July 10th. It'll only be the first few days of uh Cancer season. But still, it's enough time to consider going back to when Mars was in Leo, where that conversation again is going to come up about legacy and planning and preparing our children for success, which is parenthood, Anyway, so we can see some of those things coming up. This is definitely Battle of the Sexes, although I don't think it's a battle. I think this is very healthy um, energy here, that we can see a lot of conversations of men actually talking about their opinions and beliefs about the type of relationship that they want. Nobody has to like it, but again, we should listen to what they have to say, and take that into consideration on how we make changes in this new reality that we're creating, um, because their opinion matters just as much as children's opinions matter, just as much as female or women opinions matter, right? So I think that's going to be another really big topic. Dating and how do you call those people who are like uh, matchmakers and people who are talk about dating conversations and stuff. I don't know why I can't think of the name, but you know what I'm talking about. Right? And so that could be a topic or a conversation that comes up. And so then we'll have Mars opposite Pluto. Now, I did talk about this in the Grand Fixed Cross, which is currently active. But it's still an important part of this transit, because it's Mars opposite Pluto is playing out while Mars is in Leo. And so this is going to be about confronting something, right? Um, Again, Mars is cutting heat, um, blades, guns, confrontation, especially confrontation around guns, debates, schools, younger children. Could be a lot more school shootings, or the follow-up on how to deal with school shootings, which I think is going to lead to a lot of parents taking their children out of school and homeschooling. I talked about that already, right? Um, it's also anger actions, feeling entitled, younger people feeling entitled. I think they're tired. They're tired of not feeling supported, secure in this world. And because their parents are working or whatever the other excuses we're going to come up with, we already know that we're leaving them high and dry to make decisions that nobody ends up liking. And so their acting out can be like, well, then fix it. Do something about it. Take a stand. Um, and that can get sticky. I think it's going to be a tough uh sell. I think it's going to be a tough change or alteration to make. Somebody's going to have to be brave enough to um take time off from work. Like what happened in 2020, you were forced to do that and probably forced to see just how bad things really, really are. And so again, another way this can be showing up is what did you learn from that downtime and taking time away? What have you fixed and resolved since then? What can you do more of? What have you accomplished and completed? And then there can be some level of sharing your story so other people can learn from your experience, right? And so this can be about parents' rights, child's rights, younger generation speaking up about what they want, what they don't want. Again, transgenders' rights, who can have children, population decline or control, however you want to call it. I think it's all one and the same, to be quite frank. This can be a very do or die energy, like people willing to give up their life for their beliefs type of thing. So if it's not something going on in the schools, this can be churches and spiritual um uh places like that. Um but I feel like I said fertility already. Aquarius is scientific and futuristic. Leo is creative and heart-centered. And so we can see a lot of people saying, I wish I could launch my own business. I wish I could plan a vacation and take my kids. I wish I had more free time so we can be challenged with those desires. But it's also an opportunity to grow, to make way so that you can do that, which is ultimately going to go back to saving money. So you're going to have to change your budget and your values around your money so you can do these things and make these changes. Like I'm currently figuring out what homeschooling program I want to go to. It's not easy. It's frustrating because that's not what's the norm is, right? And so, doing my best to make those changes. I want my son out of that fucking school system so bad, right? And so, again, other people can be thinking about doing the same. Um, mm, I think, the American dream is crumbling and we're struggling to see where we fit in with all these changes because they're not the norm. And so these might not be things that are readily available. You got to do some deep diving and searching and connecting with people that we're not really good at. I was watching the video on 19 Keys and Steven, the relationship guru. I don't know if that's his real name, but that's what I'm calling him, okay? I really, really liked that video. If nobody caught that video, honest to God, like go watch that video. But as I was watching it, the one thing I kept thinking was, tell me how. I mean, they dropped so many gems in that video. It was crazy, but where's the how? Where's the follow-up? We are in a society now where we're very intellectual. And I think those things are important. This isn't me, talking down on anybody because I do the same thing, by the way, right? We are at a point where we're so intellectual, but how do we take those intellectual gems and conversations and put them into real action steps, right? And so I think about this a lot as myself. And I think nobody signs up for the services though. How many people do that? They're very few and men and few in between. There's not a lot. And so some of that, people who those people are, you're going to have to take responsibility for just listening to the video and then that's it. What are you doing with that information? Get involved. Call that person for services. Have that bigger conversation. I remember um, two times I was in a position um, to sorry about that. So I remember two times I was watching a video of somebody who I admired, and I didn't know what the heck was going to happen. I didn't. I had no expectations. I just knew that what they said spoke to me. The first time was Dr. Claude Anderson, believe it or not. I had a whole hour conversation with him because most of these people, when they do their lives and have these great intellectual conversations, they'll leave their information for you to follow them, have conversations with them. Dr. Claude Anderson gives out his real fucking number. Like it's his house. I can hear his family in the background. I think his son or his wife picked up the phone. Like it was him. And he told me something. We had a really nice hour-long conversation, right? Um, and he gave me some really good insights. I used those things. Those things made me a better person today, right? And that was free. That didn't even cost any money. I don't think he's doing much service-oriented work, but he has like books and things like that. He's old. He just likes talking to people. He loves hearing other people's. He's an amazing person, right? Um, the second time was with Brian, and I spoke to you guys about him if you've been following me for a really long time. I haven't been doing this very long. That was back in 2020. He's not even like a big person, but he's big. He's very successful. He's a billionaire, millionaire, thousandaire, whatever, right? He's successful. And I heard him on the Zoe What show, and he gave out his number and his information. Now, at the time that I called him, I think it was like back in 2012, and we had an initial conversation, and I was going through some stuff at that time in my life, so I wasn't really able to follow up like I wanted to, but he followed me. And from that point on, he had continued following me. And so when I became an astrologer, he reached out to me. I became the ambassador of his company for 3 years. I got to learn under him all his financial skills. They made me a better person today, right? And so I'm telling you these things in general, like people take accountability for the reason why your life is just where it's at, one, and why these people have so much control because we don't cultivate and work together. We don't support the people who are giving us the services that are giving us a way out, right? And so if you create your own reality, but you're doing business with your enemy and not the people who are helping you, and granted, I understand that it's not easy. This is not like a blame anything, it just is what it is, right? We have to look at the reasons as to why our people have all this knowledge, but we're not growing and expanding like we need to. You don't have to go to college, go study with them. These people have programs and things that you can learn from. Billy Carson has an entire fucking, I got his book too. That book is so damn big, like it's crazy. I learned from him as well. Um, and I did those things out of sacrifice. That shit was not easy because those things are not always so inexpensive. Um, and so I had to save money. So there were days that I went without doing any of the normal things. Hell, there are sometimes I went without paying bills just to get services with a lot of these people. I'm currently taking classes with Dr. Boyce Watkins. His classes are fucking expensive. I'm going because that's what I want for my life, right? I can go on and on and on, but I think, you understand what I'm saying here. And so I think we're going to begin to realize things like this and make the sacrifices or gain the courage, Mars and Leo, or get that fire under us that pushes us towards making those changes. And that's the fixed energy that's going to add pressure, that's going to force us to change and fill in those old ways with new fun ways of making these necessary changes. It's about taking action now, so don't be afraid to get out there and talk to those people and get involved with those people. Those aren't the only ones. Now, I've talked about a lot of these things before. I can go on and on and on and tell you, like, I have stories to tell, family, and they're worth it. Get yourself out there, get involved. Um, um, And so we can see a lot of people changing teams with Mars opposite Pluto, or we can see a rise in people who are um, they're proud that they seem to be on the right track. And then the people on the world stage, we can see them in the same scenario, like again, saying, I'm not willing to shut up for a paycheck, right? Especially with the entertainment world. Oh, I'd love to see that, boy. Oh, if just one person did it out loud I mean, Kanye did it because he's so controversial. I don't think it gets taken in the correct, uh, way. We'll see. But I'd love to see more of it, though. If that would make my whole day. Anyways, um, we can also see very dangerous, deadly situations because of that, with people blowing up things and, you know, more violence and yeah. So anyway, that's my whole story shebang on that, family. Y'all already know. I love and appreciate you as usual. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.